Nepal's literacy rate has undergone a dramatic transformation, soaring from a mere 2% in 1950 to an impressive 71.15% in 2021. This is a monumental achievement for a country known for its rugged terrain and mountainous landscape. Before we learn what miracle drove Nepal to have the fastest growing literacy rate, let's learn about why was Nepal's literacy rate so low in 1950s while the world's literacy rate stood at 56%. One of the biggest obstacles was the lack of access to education, particularly in rural and remote regions. The mountainous geography made it challenging to construct school and transport students and teachers to them. Additionally, many families in Nepal were struggling with poverty, making it impossible for them to send their children to school. Furthermore, negative attitudes toward education, particularly for girls, also played a role in the low literacy rates. Cultural and religious beliefs often emphasized the importance of children, particularly girls, staying at home to assist with household and agriculture work instead of attending school. To make matters worse, Nepal was ruled by an absolute monarch until 1950, which did not prioritize education for the masses. The Rana dynasty, a powerful family, held the country's reign of power for prime ministers within their family from 1846 to 1951. They were known for their authoritarian and strict rules, suppressing political oppositions, limiting freedom of speech, and revoking the rights of lower caste and ethnic groups. The Ranas kept Nepal isolated from the outside world, hindering economic and social development. During their rule, they did not allocate many resources to education, instead focusing on centralizing political power and maintaining their rule, rather than investing in the well-being of the citizens. This contributed to the low literacy rate and poor education system in Nepal. Ranas feared that well-educated citizen is a threat to their political power. This fear also was held by PM Chandra Samser Rana, who established the first college in 1918 and named it after himself. During the inauguration of the college, Chandra Samser affirmed that its opening was the ultimate death per Rana's rule. The overthrow of the tyrannical Ranas and the rise of democracy in Nepal in 1951 marked a new dawn for the country's education system and social development. The government poured resources into education, implementing policies and programs to improve access to education, particularly in most remote and rural areas. However, growth did not come overnight. Children were typically required to help out at home and in the fields. More than half of the kids left school after just 1 year of studying. Many students started school late at ages 9 or 10. It was thought that educating girls were pointless, so their enrollment rates were far lower than those of men. Although the government was successful in establishing new schools, the quality of education remained low, mostly in remote regions where the majority of the population lived. In 1981, Nepal's literacy rate was around 20%, which wasn't as significant as they had expected. However, the 1980s and 90s brought about a major change. The government partnered with the UN to develop a new curriculum heavily influenced by American models, creating a foundation for universal education through the National Education Plan. Reading, writing, and math skills were to be taught in primary schools along with discipline and good hygiene. Character development, such as having a good attitude to manual labor and perseverance, were stressed in lower secondary education. Manpower needs and preparation for higher education were highlighted in higher secondary education. The curriculum also highlighted the importance of preparing students for higher education and the workforce. After completing higher secondary education, students took the nationally regulated and administered SLC exam to graduate from high school. Those who passed this test qualified for the admission to college. As the darkness and ignorance loomed over Nepal, a glimmer of hope emerged from the ashes. The government, in a bold and unprecedented move, ignited the flames of change by implementing a policy of free and compulsory primary education for all. Non-governmental organizations like Knights in Shining Armor rode in to support the cause, pouring resources into programs to empower the youth, particularly the girls and children who had been left behind. The battle against illiteracy raged on as the literacy rate in Nepal soared at an alarming pace. By the year 2000, the nation had emerged victorious as half of the population had been bestowed with the power of knowledge. Adult education facilities expanded to the smaller towns and villages, providing a second chance for those who had been denied the opportunity to learn in their youth. Together, government and citizens united to build a nation where education was not a privilege but a right and a weapon to fight against the forces of darkness. Non-governmental organizations drove and played an important role in the development of education in Nepal from the year 2000 onwards. They emerged as powerful catalysts for change, driving the development of education with relentless determination. The establishment of private schools and colleges operating under the various business model proved to be the most significant contributor to the rapidly rising literacy rate. These institutions offered hope for the future, luring parents to invest in their children's education and paving the way for a brighter future for the entire nation. With superior facilities and resources at their disposal, private schools in Nepal stood in stark contrast to their government schools. Operating independently, they were able to address and overcome the deficiencies that plagued government schools, creating a more favorable teacher-student ratio and providing better infrastructure and environments for learning. Academically, private schools in Nepal excelled, offering a wider range of subjects and programs, including lots of extracurricular activities and clubs. Despite charging ridiculously expensive fees, these institutions were able to maintain high level of student retention and provided better quality education in English. As private schools were mostly located in urban areas, a migration towards cities occurred, driven by the desire for higher education. This, in turn, compelled government schools in rural areas to raise their standards, leading to an overall upliftment in the quality of education. The literacy rate of Nepal made a remarkable leap, rising from 65% in 2010 to an impressive 71% in 2021, evidence of the transformative power of private school education. This was also 69% higher than when they started on their education journey in 1950s. Nepal's literacy rate is expected to rise by 1% every year and hopes to reach 80% by 2030. Although the government of Nepal has made tremendous effort to increase access to education in Nepal, many children, particularly in rural and remote areas, still have lower literacy rates. This is due to the lack of schools, teachers, and resources in these areas. The quality of education in Nepal is also a major concern. Many schools lack qualified teachers and there is a shortage of resources and facilities. This results in poor academic performance and a higher dropout rate among students. The education of Nepal sadly does not place enough emphasis on research and innovation, which limits the ability of students to think critically and creatively. Despite being one of the fastest growing literacy rate in the world overall, Nepal's education system still lacks in several areas, and there is much work to be done in order to improve access to education, quality of education, the gender gap in education, and to provide better access to higher education, vocational education, research, and innovation. On our next video, we will talk about the disadvantages of Nepal's fastest growing literacy rate. So don't forget to subscribe to stay updated. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Click here to watch Nepal's involvement in India-China war. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, peace out.